Sumer was an ancient Near East civilization lasting from 4500 to 2004 BC. Sumer was situated in the fertile region of Mesopotamia between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. This area, known as the Cradle of Civilization, provided the necessary resources for the development of agriculture and the establishment of permanent settlements. The abundance of water and fertile soil allowed the Sumerians to cultivate crops and support a growing population. The Sumerians established several city-states, each functioning as independent political entities. Prominent city-states included Ur, Uruk, Lagash, and Eridu. These cities were characterized by their impressive architectural feats, including the famous ziggurats, which were massive temples and complexes that served as both religious and administrative centers. But one of Sumer's most remarkable contributions to civilization is the invention of writing. The Sumerians developed the cuneiform script, one of the earliest, if not the first, systems of writing, which they used for record-keeping, literature, and legal documents. This innovation revolutionized communication and allowed for the preservation of knowledge across generations. In addition to writing, the Sumerians made significant strides in mathematics, astronomy, and engineering. They devised the basic 60-number numerical system, which is still in use today to measure time and angles. And finally, we have the Sumerian religion. Sumerians were polytheistic, with a pantheon of gods and goddesses who were believed to control various aspects of the natural world and human life. Each city-state had its patron deity, and religious practices were deeply intertwined with daily life. The Epic of Gilgamesh, one of the oldest known literary works, originates from Sumer and provides insights into their religious beliefs, values, and worldview. The Sumerians also excelled in the arts, producing intricate jewelry, pottery, and sculptures. Their cultural achievements had a lasting impact on the subsequent civilizations in Mesopotamia and beyond. Egypt. Ancient Egypt was another fertile crescent civilization that lasted from 3100 to 30 BC. Ancient Egypt flourished along the fertile banks of the Nile River, which provided a lifeline in the arid landscape of northeastern Africa. The annual flooding of the Nile River deposited nutrient-rich silt onto the land, making it ideal for agriculture. The predictable flooding cycle allowed for the Egyptians to develop a stable food supply, and subsequently a prosperous civilization. Egyptian history is traditionally divided into three major periods: the Old Kingdom, Middle Kingdom, and New Kingdom, each marked by periods of stability and unity under powerful pharaohs. The pharaoh was considered both a king and a god by his people, and he wielded absolute power and was central to the administration of the state. The construction of monumental structures such as pyramids and temples served not only as tombs and places of worship, but also as symbols of the pharaoh's divine authority. Each of the three ancient Egyptian kingdoms had defining characteristics. The Old Kingdom is often referred to as the Age of the Pyramids because the most famous pyramids, including the Great Pyramid of Giza, were constructed during this period. The first strong centralized government of Egypt was also established during this period. Egypt began to trade with neighboring regions such as the Nubians and the Canaanite tribes located in the Levant. Following a period of disunity known as the First Intermediate Period, Egypt was reunited under Pharaoh Mentuhotep II, beginning the Middle Kingdom. Egyptian literature flourished during this period with literature pieces such as the Tale of Sinahu. Egypt moved to secure better trade with the Levant and to secure its borders against the Nubians during this period. And finally, the New Kingdom. This period of Egypt is often referred to as Egypt's Imperial Age. It was characterized by Egyptian expansion into the Levant, Nubia, and the Near East. During this period, we see the Valley of the Kings become a burial site for many pharaohs. Also during this period, Egypt established important diplomatic relations with the Mitanni and the Hittite Empire, the latter of which created a strong Egyptian-Hittite alliance through marriages. In addition to pharaohs and pyramids, Egyptians developed other very important technological feats as well. The Egyptians made significant advancements in medicine, mathematics, and astronomy. They developed a calendar based on the lunar and solar cycles, which influenced later timekeeping systems. Egyptian medicine was highly advanced for its time, with physicians performing surgeries and employing various medical treatments that were documented in detail. Indus River Valley Civilization. The Indus River Valley Civilization, which lasted from 3300 to 1300 BC, was located in which of the following regions? A. Mesopotamia, B. Anatolia, C. Northern Africa, or D. The Indus River Valley. If you said the Indus River Valley, then you might just be a genius. The Indus River Valley Civilization, or the Harappan Civilization, developed along the fertile floodplains of the Indus River. This area provided abundant water sources and fertile soil ideal for agriculture. Indus cities often featured advanced drainage systems with covered drains running alongside streets and sophisticated sewage systems to manage waste. Many houses were equipped with private wells and bathrooms, demonstrating a high standard of living and concern for hygiene. Like the previous entries on this list, agriculture was the backbone of the economy, with the cultivation of wheat, barley, and cotton. They also domesticated animals like cattle, sheep, and goats. The Indus people engaged in extensive trade both within the region and within the distant cultures, including Mesopotamia. They traded goods such as beads, pottery, metals, and textiles. China. Moving on east to China, specifically the first dynasty of China, or the Xia dynasty, is believed to have emerged in the Huanhe, or Yellow River Valley, and is often referred to as the cradle of the Chinese civilization. This fertile region provided the resources needed for agriculture and the development of the early Chinese settlements. The early Chinese people cultivated millet, rice, and other crops, and domesticated animals like pig and cattle. The agricultural surplus supported a large growth in population and the development of a very complex Chinese society. Little is known about the early Xia dynasty, but much of what we do know comes from the records of the Grand Historian by Shima Xian and the Bamboo Annals. These sources blend history with mythology, making it challenging to separate the facts from the legends. And according to legend, Yu the Great founded the Xia dynasty after successfully controlling the floods of the Yellow River through extensive dredging and irrigation projects. Recent archaeological discoveries at sites such as Erlatau provide physical evidence of an early Bronze Age culture that may correspond to the Xia dynasty. These sites reveal advanced metallurgy, urban planning, and social stratifications. For this last section on China, I wanted to talk about the Chinese religion. I had skipped talking about the Egyptian and Indus religion due to too much similarities and lack of information, respectively. But China is somewhat different, and I thought it would be interesting to discuss. The Xia people practiced ancestor worship and made offerings to deities associated with natural elements. Ritual practice became more elaborate in subsequent dynasties, influencing Chinese spiritual traditions. Akkad. Sargon the Great went on to create one of the earliest and most influential empires in human history, flourishing in Mesopotamia from around 2334 to 2154 BC. Akkad and its large empire left an incredible mark on the ancient Near East. Sargon, who had originally been a cupbearer to the king of Kish, overthrew the king and established the city of Akkad as his capital around 2334 BC. His rise to power marked the beginning of the Acadian Empire. And from there on, Sargon embarked on extensive military campaigns, conquering neighboring city-states and regions. He unified Mesopotamia under his rule, creating one of the first multinational empires in history. Sargon introduced centralized administration, appointing loyal governors to oversee various regions. He standardized weights and measures and promoted the Akkadian language for administration and record-keeping. Spoiler alert, this would be the beginning of the end of the Sumerian culture. As great as the Acadian Empire may have been, all good things come to an end. The Acadian Empire eventually faced internal strife, invasions by external groups such as the Gudians, and possible environmental challenges like droughts. These factors contributed to the gradual decline and outright collapse of the Acadian Empire.